Welcome everyone. We have with us today the beautiful Rachel Chamness, a multifaceted channel and magical being. Thank you for joining us, Rachel. I'm going to turn it over to her and let her tell us all about herself. Thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
So tell
Sure,
us, just let us know how it all started and what's happened since and where you are now.
sure. I am a shamanic channel and mentor. I'm at soundwavesheal.com, and I help light workers work in higher dimensions with channeling all kinds of beings of the light and also trance healing, which is my favorite thing, where you bring forth the healing of higher dimensional beings and uh, really do all that in an advanced capacity. And I love it so much. And I never ever thought that I would be doing this. I started out, I was an opera singer and I sang soprano. I sang around the United States and a few other countries. And I really thought that that was where I was supposed to be. I always felt, I was very spiritual and I did feel like there was a larger thing going on where the healing was taking place while I was singing because I did understand about how different notes can heal different chakras. So I just felt like I was having fun on stage and it was a great time. Meanwhile, people were healed and, it was a win-win situation. I wasn't doing anything specific, just having fun. But it turns out that wasn't quite it. I kind of had it a little bit off. So really, I was supposed to be doing this work. And I did not know how to do that. I had maybe looked at a few classes about maybe, herbals or things like that. I took some basic law of attraction classes and sort of coaching, that sort of thing. And one day I was having this conversation. Well, I was having a session with a medium, a really amazing medium, and she told me that I was a medium because she was talking to my uncle who had passed, who showed up as a guide. I was really surprised. She was just so right on. This was like the third session I'd had with her. And he said through her, well, you're supposed to be doing what she's doing. And I just thought, well, that's so crazy. How could I do that? I just felt like that seems impossible. Isn't this just something people are like born with and then that they just do it? And she said, well, I've been thinking that too and been wanting to tell you that you should do that. So she kind of sent me on my way of where to start locally. So I did. I started taking, classes and all kinds of things. I had taken tarot before, so I understood a lot of symbology and things like that. But we studied all kinds of other things like oracle cards, reading animals, or, shamanic journeys. She attuned me to Reiki, like all these things. And I just kept trying to find like what it was I was supposed to do. Because I knew I was a little psychic, but it started to pick up a little bit. And then she said, I have someone coming in to teach this trance channel class. And the funny thing is that in the very beginning, I was like, okay, but I'm not doing that ghost thing, like that old movie with Patrick Swayze, like Ghost, where she trance channels a dead person. I was like, I just that's my line. Like, I'm not going to do that. And so, of course, when she said trance channel, even though it was spirit guides, I was like, I don't know about that. That sounds a little close to the line. But my spirit guides really prepared me for this because for years and years they would not tell me who they were. So I tried to figure out who my spirit guides were, and I was in my 40s. So this was like 20 years of trying to figure out who they were. I went to mediums. Who's my spirit guide? Even that medium I was talking to, I said, I really want to know a spirit guide. Tell me a spirit guide. And she brings Uncle Richard. Like it wasn't, I couldn't even figure out who they were. And it was making me crazy. I had more than one medium say to me, I cannot tell you who your spirit guide is. So first they would say, oh yeah, I help people with their spirit guides all the time. We'll see who it is, blah, blah. And then, oh, they won't let me tell you who they are. They won't. And I was like,
Why
that
do you think
these,
that was?
well, it was to get me to take this class because, the mediums that told me this, they didn't know each other. So I knew it was a true message. So I was enticed to take the class because I would meet several of my spirit guides. So I was like, you know what, I'll take it. I don't have to do it, but I want to meet my spirit guides. So I took the class and it really changed everything for me. And the main thing that did it was not just that I could channel them, I could talk to them. They started helping me immediately. But I really wanted to use my voice. I had spent my whole life working on my voice since I was little, and I really felt that that really was part of what I was supposed to do. So I wanted to use it. I mean, otherwise it felt like I had wasted my life, even though that's not true.
I
But
have to say that this is how I found you through, I mean, sound has always been an important thing for me, but um, very rarely have I been attracted enough to a sound that I would want to just be encased by it. And I remember, I think on a Facebook group or something, that you had put a little bit something on there. And I was just transported. I mean, I was mesmerized. Like, who is this woman with this voice?
thank you.
That, I mean, it honestly is a gift to the world, really. It's
Thank
thank
you.
you for doing that. Oh,
Well,
it
I love it. I love using my voice that way. And that's really what happened is I brought through my alchemist guide and he started using my voice for sound healing. And I realized that, well, I could just start now. Because to me, as an opera singer, I thought, oh, it'll be years and years. Maybe if I study for 20 years, I can retire. When I retire, like 65, I can do this. And there it was. I was doing it right away. And people were like, oh my gosh, I felt that my headache's gone. I could smell the sage. Like, saying all these crazy things. And I was like, wow, it works. So I just started doing it. And then it just grew. My spirit guides told me what to do next every step of the way. They still do. And they help me bring through all kinds of psychic healing, all types of advanced techniques that I now teach in many classes. So they just taught me everything. It's really like my biggest thing now is to tell people, just get to know your spirit guides. They will help you so much.
I have to say, like, and you probably know this a little bit about me. I've taken your channeling class very hesitantly, but I have always been drawn to channeling, although the same thing as you say about trance, I'm like, ooh. And and it was funny because you actually could see that I'm not leaving my body when you brought in the joy guides. And I'm like, I thought I was totally making that stuff up. I'm like, okay,
You
what?
know what? People do. That's why I changed the class to make it longer because I now find that people go through this stage where they think they're making it up so deeply. It's like they begin to do it, they do it great. You were great in the class. And I have all these exceptional students who do so well, but then they hit this wall where they're like, I'm totally making it up. It wasn't true. And they talk themselves out of it. So now I spread the class out. So also for busy people, 6 months, even though you trans channel in the first class, you will have all this time to work through all that. And that has been really successful.
That makes sense. But
Yeah.
uh, you always clearly, obviously, had the sense that you had spirit guides that you wanted to meet, never doubted it, and you had some connections here and there. What would you say to people like me who are still double guessing themselves? I'm always like, I know I trust, sometimes I trust, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna let this be. And then other times I'm like, did I just sense that? Was that a thing? Can I get a confirmation? I'm constantly looking for confirmation. Can you give me another confirmation? So what would you say to people like crazy people like me?
That's not crazy. That is so normal. So that is actually what I've come to realize over the years that I've been teaching this class. You probably took one of my first classes years ago. And one thing I've really learned is that that's what I do is help people understand how to trust themselves because that's the hardest thing. I mean, anybody can teach you to trans channel. You can learn in a weekend, but to truly do it, that and any other channeling, you have to have that kind of feedback. Uh, I have several things that I teach in my classes. With the different levels of protection so that you feel safe, understanding, discernment, like knowing that this is truly my guide and not a false guide, understanding, that you're not making it up with a lot of feedback and a lot of extra practice. So now we spread it out And I also have a signature class where we do a lot more. So that one especially, but we really work through that self-doubt because we have all been gaslighted so much. Gaslit. We've been gaslit so much. As children, we were told it was just our imagination. When I figured out that I was a medium and I started doing this. This is actually interesting. Someone came to me and said, I've been through a lot of trauma. I closed all my clairs. Can you help me with a meditation, open them back up? So I made this meditation for her, which has become one of my signature meditations that I use to help people open their clairs. Because after I did it for her, it worked for me. Just making the meditation and listening to it, making sure it was good. Then I realized, like, I saw dead people when I was a kid. I forgot and I turned it off.
I want
And
that
I had
meditation.
forgotten that.
I'm gonna come to you for that meditation too.
Well, Miriam, you have it because it's in the Trans One program and you have that. So it's in there.
To go back into
Check
that.
it out. Yes. So I made a version for everyone. It's called Eight Clairs. It's in the my trans channeling program and in my membership program. So yeah, it really helps. And so I really learned. I did it too. And to think, I had been working for a while and I had forgotten. I thought, well, I don't have clairvoyance. That's fine. But it turns out I do. I
Oh,
just
you're
closed it off.
definitely visual. I feel that I have times that I've been very sure about, oh my goodness, I'm getting information, has been mainly auditory. I'm
Hmm.
auditory mainly, and sometimes just sensing it, like clairsentient or whatever you call that. Um, but I have not been paying a lot of attention to that. Like I said, I keep second guessing myself. And I've had to kind of make peace with the fact that it's okay if I don't trance, but I do like to channel. Um, I don't know if you remember, I'd mentioned being interested in light language and doing that kind of stuff, which is fun. I did take a class with you on light language as well, um, which is kind of funny. It's good to be able to like make weird sounds, and
Yeah, it
Maria
is.
was laughing at you like whatever. But I do, with the angel work that I do, paintings, I feel like that is the one time that I channel.
You
Because
do, yeah.
I heard that in my meditation when they said, make him available. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, I've cracked, but for weeks I heard them saying that. And finally, I had to kind of put it out there, just going to trust and say, fine, they're like, it's not about you. You just make the announcement. And now I know that when I get into doing the paintings, I channel those angels because they give me specific direction when I'm
Right.
working with them. That's the extent of my channeling at this time.
Well, let me tell you this. First of all, I think that clairaudience is the very best. And I don't think that clairvoyance is as helpful as people think, or it's in any way how people think it is. It's not like a movie for most people. For me, it's like a glimpse in my third eye. It's an outline. I'm mixing it with, I feel the spirit guides here. I see an outline. I get a quick flash in my head, but clairaudience, you can count on that. You don't have to translate it. They tell you exactly what to do. It is my favorite clair. I think it's great.
Oh,
And you don't have to have any of that to trans channel. You can absolutely trans channel. You've done it before. I'm telling you, you could do it again. You can watch your old video from the old class and do it again, I bet. You you
okay.
can do it. I remember that you did well.
Thank
And
you.
you don't have to have much to trans channel. You don't have to, what you all you have to do in my class anyway is have a sense of that spirit guide. If we go through the meditation and I give tons of tips and I attune you to your guide and I do all the things to make it easier. If you can get any sense at all about your guide, then you can bring them forward. And for people who can't, actually have things that can help them get there too. So
I think, the whole idea of channeling, because it's now more of it's more out there, more
it
people
is.
know about it, which is great. But you get people like Daryl Anka, those kinds of people, the lady who does Theo, and
Right.
those guys who are just really out there and go into this trance and they start, I think it's giving the impression, at least it did to me, that, oh, well, that's really something. I'm not sure
Yeah.
I can do
That is
that.
just a deeper trance. Yeah. So they are channeling who I call the partner guides. So that's like what I teach in the third level. So when you bring forward your partner guide, and this is really what I recommend is that everyone just channel their partner guide over and over. And when you do, the more you do it, the deeper it gets, the more you can trust, the more you understand, the more that they kind of combine with you more because your spirit guides are just part of you. And then when you it's really about practice. The more you do it, the stronger it gets. And anybody can do that.
I
I
mean,
know
I
that sounds
noticed,
crazy, but it's true.
yeah, with the first session we had, I remember um, the funny thing, like she was trying to, I still remember the feeling of it. She was trying to come in, and I was like, nope, I'm staying put.
There has to be some allowing there, but
Yeah, yeah. I've noticed that, I may not, this may have been the thing with me with like not being willing to completely leave my body, but okay, I'll allow you to come in and share the space at some point, but I don't really want to like
I
leave.
don't leave. I'm way too curious. I mean, I hardly ever do. Um, I sometimes go a lot further if someone's interviewing me in trance, then I can go a little further with it. But I usually hang out like right around here because I want to hear what they're saying. And,
So you
you know,
remember what you channel? Do you?
no, I don't remember. Yeah, I feel like I will because I'm sitting there listening, but I don't, I have to watch the video because I guess what it is that it didn't come from my brain. So
Oh,
it's hard to remember. It's just something I heard,
okay.
sort of, It's kind of like sort of heard it. Sometimes I'm like, I remember he said something really cool about this or that. I've got to go look.
Okay.
So, and for everyone, so everyone who works with channeling, you should record yourself and then play it back, and that will make all the difference. In fact, I bet if you went back and watched some of these videos from when you were in trance, you will show yourself that you'll be like, I wasn't making it up.
But I do remember the feeling of my joy guide coming in. That's like the one that sticks out in my mind the first, because first of all, I'm like, I'm just gonna go along with this. I'm not so sure if it's happening, but I'm not, somebody's trying to get in. And she was delightful. I mean, obviously, she was the joy guide, but I remember her name still. And I do remember this. I don't remember what she said, but I do remember sort of having a bit of a negotiation of, okay, how about I stay and you can just. And I remember you made a comment about that. You're like, oh, you don't like to get out, do you?
There's so many layers to learning about this. It's like you have to first of all, you have to just like really understand the protection of it and begin to allow them. And then the first they come through and they say nothing interesting. It's you watch people like Bashar and then you trans channel your joy guide the first time and you're like, well, okay, like anybody would have said that I need to trust or like something really trite to me, which is of course I know that. And they do that. They start that way and the more you trans them, they tell you more and then they start to tell you really important things. And once they feel you have the hang of it, then they'll give you messages for other people. And I watch people go through that and you have to remember that Daryl, he's been doing that for over 20 years. So 20
Right.
years he's been channeling Bashar. So of course it's going deeper and deeper each time. And that is really it, doing it over and over and over again.
That's true. Well, I was curious, would you be willing to
Trans channel?
do a little bit here?
Of course, yes. Sure. Okay, do you want me to? I can bring Alpar Bien. He's my partner guide. He is a blue avian. He, they call themselves the Kier, is what they tell me, and he can come in and talk to you. Do you want to ask him questions, or you want me to just bring a message?
Let's first get a message, and then if they let me ask a question, then we'll just take it from there. Sure.
Okay, sure. Okay, all right. Hello, I am Al Parabiam, and the partner guide to this medium.
Hello.
I, hello, thank you for asking for me to come forward. It is my gift and my pleasure to work with others who are here to connect with mediums and channels and any light worker who wishes to. For each of you has a starseed being who is willing to work with you, usually someone you know from a past life. However, even if you think that is not a possibility for you, there is someone who is ready to match with you to bring their messages forward. And you can do this just by asking for connection, by meditating, and letting us connect with you, and by using a system of just believing what is coming in for you. For that is very important, to lay layers of trust in your work. And the more that you trust, the more that will bring forward for you, the more that we will help you. You must do your work of trust, for that is a very difficult thing to do, and it requires some risk, of course, of being wrong, risk of it not being as interesting as you wish, or not being something that you believe it should be. To just let it happen, let it come in, let it build step by step, and you can bring forward messages in all different ways, as you do with painting, as others do with cards, with divination, with messages, with words, as coaches bring forward words they had no idea that they even knew about, as writers write incredible stories that seem to write themselves, as musicians put together beautiful songs they hear in their mind's eye and commit to paper. There are so many ways to channel, and everyone has the ability to do this and to connect with their own guides or with starseed guides, angel guides, whomever they are attracted to. But it is my path in this incarnation. I am incarnated in a body in the 8th dimension. I am here with many others who wish to connect with others like you who are listening. And that is why we are here. And that is why I am the partner guide of Rachel, for she works on the other side of helping channels connect with their guides and with helpers. And I'm here with the helpers, the starseed helpers, all different kinds, from different places and different density levels of dimensionality as well. And would you like to ask a question?
Yes, I would. Wow, thank you so much. Um, I just basically wanted to ask a generalized question about the time that we are all experiencing, the events we are experiencing globally, and especially in the US, whether you can further give insight as to how best to navigate these times, and whether there is going to be sort of a positive outcome of all the strife that people are seem to be going through at the minute.
Yes, this is a very challenging part of your ascension. This is where you are being challenged to release all programming of 3D Earth, which is quite extensive. It is time to question everything that you are feeling very drawn to emotionally, to understand that the fifth dimension is another timeline than the third dimension. They will split. They have split. In fact, you are now more in the fourth dimension than the third. And the fourth dimension is duality. It is light and dark. It is love and fear. And whichever you are following is where you are experiencing. Therefore, if you are reacting to many scary or debilitating news or what's happening now, if you are tied to a program that tells you that this will ruin things for people and people you care about and others, this seems like the heart-centered thing to do, to worry about others and to try and help others. However, it is not exactly the fifth dimensional path for everyone who is on earth now has chosen what they want to experience. Many souls come to earth to experience the third dimension in its deepest density, which is likely very uncomfortable to lightworkers who wish to ascend out of this density and out of this fear into more love and more light. Yet there are many who come here to even create more density, which is likely what you're referring to create much more density. And many are here to experience that density. They want to go as far into the density as possible to really experience fear and chaos and strife and war and many of these which are actually highly unusual in the universe at this time. And so they've come here in droves to experience it, to understand it, so that when they ascend out of their body, they will understand how that experience shapes them, how they learn from it, and how they can help others in other places who are stuck in this density. It is very enlightening to learn. And yet, you who are listening, you are looking more towards the fifth dimension. And so now in this fourth dimension, it is one side versus the other. And it is now time to learn that there is no side. There's only light and acceptance. And this is not to say that you cannot or should not look at your shadows, for it is shadow work that will release you. It is facing your fears and accepting them. It is forgiving yourself and others that releases you. It is looking at the dark and understanding that it has a purpose, that it is here for a reason, that it creates all of this so that there can be light, and that all that you believe is evil and terrible is actually a part of what creates light. And these are beautiful souls in these bodies creating density as their work on earth to help you ascend. And though it seems counterintuitive to release yourself from the guilt and the fear of watching others suffer or seeing programs in place that creates more suffering, it is your work as light workers to come to a higher dimensional viewpoint of these events so that you can bring yourself away from duality. Understand that everyone is a light of source, is part of source, and everyone is just here incarnated to experience all that they can experience before they go back to source, find that separation, and go forward to your own timeline, which can be quite expansive and long in the higher dimension as Earth is going towards ascension. And there is much to happen this year. So much, many terrible things, yes, to others. You will notice others experiencing many terrible things, but you will notice that you are only watching. If anything terrible happens to you, it is part of your soul contract that you've come here to experience and to find light from that point. And you will find a great expansiveness within you when you begin to open your heart to love every terrible part of this world, which is a big ask. We understand. It is easier for us to say it than for you to do it, for that is your challenge here. I hope that this makes sense, what I am conveying to you in this way.
Yes, it does. It's just one wants a definitive, in this three-dimensional reality, one wants a definitive, more definitive answer than what you deep down know.
Yes, yes, of course.
But thank you very much for addressing that. Really appreciate it.
We are really pleased to be here, and we wish to give a healing if that is amenable.
Oh, please.
I will bring a healing forward for the collective of those I am with to help anyone who is listening who wishes to connect with a starseed guide for information, a connection now, an activation for that.
Oh my God. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. This was amazing. Amazing. So
Thank you.
tell everyone where they can find you and a little bit more about the things you did address that a little, but just
Sure.
whatever else you'd like to share about what you do and where people can find you.
Okay, sure. I'm Rachel Chamness. I'm at soundwavesheal.com. I have lots of programs. I have my own psychic Reiki healing. I have light language levels. I have a tag trance 1 level class that we talked about. And I have a signature class that I start near the beginning of the year, every year. And that encompasses most things that I teach. And I also have a membership. So I have lots that helps in different price points and different help for you to just expand yourself from either beginner or advanced. But I also have a lot of free things are out there. So I have a 5D Channels and Chats podcast that you can listen to anywhere. You can find the buttons on my site. And I also go live right now, at least every Thursday, 12 o'clock Eastern, on my Soundwaves Heal channels. So you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest, all different places, TikTok at Soundwaves Heal. And I'm live on my YouTube channel and my Facebook page and my Facebook group 5D Daily every Thursday at 12.
Perfect. We're going to put all of that in the post here,
Okay.
so people can actually go on those. Everybody can find you. Thank you so much for
Thank you so
joining
much.
us today, and I look forward to exploring more with you.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me.